Hey, Gem Seat tonight. This is Jonathan. We actually kept Andrew chained to the desk this time, and I'm here at Kings Island Media Preview Day. We're going to check out some of the new things happening. We're going to talk to some great people today. We're going to talk to Chad, we're going to talk to Mike, and we're going to talk to one of the original designers of the Beast, along with the new executive chef for the brew house. So stay tuned, Gem Seat tonight, and we will continue being here at Kings Island for Media Preview Day. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, Gem City tonight. This is Jonathan. We're on location with Chad, and he's going to tell us some of the neat things that are going on this year with Kings Island, some of the changes that have happened this season, and what we can look forward to.
Yeah, thanks. You know, the 2019 season is going to be a special one for people who have been coming to Kings Island all their lives. When they walk in the front gates on their first visit, they're going to see the park maybe like they haven't seen it in decades. And that starts with the International Street. We've really done a lot of work on the street to improve the experience. We've laid 130,000 new pavers. The buildings have been repainted. We've had artists come in to stencil the sides of the building. We've just really paid a lot of care to making it feel like International Street again. And that begins right here behind us with the American flags. They're the crown jewel of International Street, but each of the buildings represents a country of their own. We're also celebrating the Beast this year. It's the 40th anniversary of the Beast. Back in 1979 it opened, and today it still holds the record in the Guinness Book of World Records as the longest wooden roller coaster in the world. And we're just going to be celebrating that all season as well. And of course, something that everybody's excited about is the return of the antique cars, which left us back in 2004. It's back in 2019, and that's in the Coney Mall section of the park. And our parents are telling us they get to share that experience with their kids that they had with their parents several years ago, generation ago. So we're happy to return that tradition to Kings Island as well.
That's excellent. Yeah, my wife was actually telling me about that because we're going to be bringing our kids for their first ever trip because they are now 5 and 7. So I'm looking forward to share that with them.
It's interesting that you say that. We hear from kids also, hey, this was my first driving experience, and that's something that we hear over and over again, and they want their kids' first driving experience to be here at Kings Island also.
That's excellent. All right, well, thank you so much, Chad. I appreciate all the information. I just remembered there's something new about the fountain this year, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a completely upgraded fountain. So we have a lot more ability to control each of the nozzles, and you can look forward to Memorial Day weekend when we unveil our new fireworks and fountain finale.
That is awesome. Thank you so much, Chad, again. And Gem City tonight, look forward to us doing some more stuff here real soon here at the Media Preview Day at Kings Island, and we will continue to bring you more coverage from here. For Gem City tonight, this is Jonathan Roberts. We'll see you soon.
important to make all these changes in the off-season?
You know, we always listen to our guests, and one of the most requested rides to bring back to Kings Island was antique cars. So this year we're bringing back Kings Mills Antique Autos, which will bring back a lot of memories for those who rode the cars from the 70s, you know, when the park opened, through 2003 when Antique Cars left. You know, some of those are now adults with kids and even grandkids. So it's going to bring back a lot of great memories. Also, it's about nostalgia, you know, and redoing International Street, bringing back some of the original look and feel of International Street, enhancing the front of Fest House, and a lot of other amenities that we've added to the park this year to remind guests of some of the nostalgia that Kings Island brings.
Was this decision in the plan? How many years have you been thinking about all this?
You know, usually we plan about 2 years out, you know, for anything we do. So we're already thinking about, you know, 2 years, 3 years down the road.
This is like 15 years, and this has been in the past. Anything new about this attraction compared to when it was first here?
You know, obviously it's in a new location of the park, and this area of Coney Mall, you know, what we did with Antique Cars, with the landscaping, you know, has really enhanced this area of Coney Mall, which you know was kind of a forgotten area. So, you know, our landscaping maintenance team has done a great job. In addition, we have an iconic coaster in the background called the Racer. You know, original coaster to Kings Island when it opened in 1972.
So, talk a little bit then, opens up the question about strategy. So you're trying to bring people here
right.
to an area that they weren't coming to.
Exactly. So, you know, we always look at where in the park we can do things that make sense. And this area definitely made sense to bring Antique Cars to this area. So,
is there a particular model the cars are based on?
Yeah, the cars are based on a 2/3 scale replica of Model Ts, you know, which is some of the cars that we had originally. We had two different types of cars originally here at Kings Island, but this is a 2/3 scale replica of the Model Ts.
All right, Gem City tonight. That was the Antique Automobiles ride here at Kings Island. Back this year, I'm here with Amy, a fellow Kings Island alum, and happens to be my wife. And so, hun, how did it feel to be back on this ride after so many years?
So, well, just them starting up the cars was really nostalgic because it sounds exactly like I remember. They're kind of loud, kind of noisy, but that's part of the fun, you know. When I was a kid, I mean, I've been coming here since I was, actually there's a picture my mom has of me in a stroller here. So, I mean, I just remember the smells and the sounds and the feel, and it's in a different part of the park, which I think is kind of nice because it gets people way back in here, but at the same time, it feels just like it did before. It's so wonderful.
And I have to say, it is wonderful. As someone who grew up on the West Coast and went to the West Coast parks, being on this kind of ride again is fantastic. It reminds me a little bit of, with the styling, with the old-fashioned car styles, of like the soapbox racers back at Knott's Berry Farm, which is another Cedar Fair park. And then just, I don't know, there's something nice about it. I can't wait to bring the kids on this.
Well, I mean, for the last many years, they've brought back like bigger rides, like roller coasters or like big, I think they had a big swing a couple years ago. And they've really, like, it's really nice to see them going back to something that's more their roots, you know, something that kind of everybody remembers fondly and everybody wants to enjoy and everybody can enjoy together. You know, the kids can drive it, we can ride it, let them go crazy taxi on it. You know, I mean, it's just a blast and I can't wait to see them on it too.
All right. Now, let's go ahead and say that This is the first year it's back. It's been 15 years since it's back. And as I said earlier, these are based upon the Model T. It's 2/3 scale. But that's it for here at Antique Automobiles at Kings Island. And we will be right back with more here on Gem City Tonight and Kings Island Media Preview. Yeah. So tell us your name and your title, please.
My name is Jeff Gramke. I'm Manager of Facilities Engineering and Construction here at the park.
And how long have you been working with the Beast?
Well, I've been working with the Beast since we started designing it, so I've been with the park for almost 48 years. Came to work the last year the park was under construction and stayed on to do some as-built mapping, and as soon as the park opened they needed to make it bigger, so they realized they wanted to get more people in the park, so we had to make it bigger, so we started doing planning and development after that. So the unique opportunity for the Beast was to be able to design it. We never had any notions of doing that. We went to John Allen from Philadelphia Toboggan Company, who had designed our twin racer and our kiddie coaster when the park was built, and asked him to design the ride. A bunch of us went up to Philadelphia to meet with him, and we had done some aerial topography mapping of the park to kind of show him where we're looking at building the ride. And we didn't have, you got to remember, we didn't have computers or scientific calculators or anything like that back then. And it was going to be very labor intensive to design the ride. And John just didn't want to take that on. So we came back disappointed that he couldn't recommend anybody else to design it either. So we invited him and his wife down to the park and show him the site. And the last night he was in town, and he was up in the International Restaurant at the front gate and took a menu from up there and flipped it over and wrote a bunch of formulae on the back of it and handed it to Al Collins, my survey crew chief, and said, "You guys can design the ride yourselves." So didn't think much of it that night, but the next day we looked at all those formulae, and they weren't that dissimilar from what we were used to seeing. Essentially, a roller coaster is just a fancy highway or railroad. There's really not that much difference in the math, other than there's a lot more of it. You're doing a lot more math. So we found out pretty quickly after John gave us a bunch more information after that night. He gave us a whole book that he had actually had gleaned over the years and all of his years of designing. And he gave us all of the information that he knew about roller coaster design, which was great. And we started looking at it, and then we started doing the designs and found out real quick why John didn't want to do that. It's very labor intensive. I mean, when you're doing one calculation at a time with no memory or anything and writing it all down with pencil and paper, it takes a long time to do.
And one of the things that we found unique is that the Beast actually goes underground, correct?
Goes underground, and that was by accident, actually. The reason we did the tunnel at the first drop, we didn't want to build the structure too tall to have to do any fancy design on the structure and to keep the cost down. So we looked at it, and it was less expensive to go underground than to build the whole ride another 20 foot tall, the whole ride to stay out of the ground. So we went to an engineer here in Cincinnati, Jim Koski, who designed those tunnels for us. We wound up with one big tunnel here at the drop, and then two very small tunnels in the back turns before you go down to the second lift. And at first we weren't even going to put covers on those. We were just going to do walls and not do a covered tunnel, but it was less expensive to do a covered tunnel. You didn't have to do as much structure and foundations to do a covered tunnel than to do one that just was retaining walls. As anybody here in Cincinnati knows about the retaining walls down on our famous road coming into town. I won't talk about it any more than that. But anyway, it's just a lot harder to do a retaining wall without a cover. So we did those, and then after the ride opened up, they thought, well, this would be a great place to close that in and make it dark. So we closed in those two little concrete tunnels and made one big long tunnel out of it. But what wound up being just an expedient thing to be able to build the ride not so tall turned into a great element of the ride. So sometimes it's also good to be lucky. You can be good, but it's good to be good and lucky. So.
All right, and one last thing, what is one fact that the general public wouldn't know about the Beast that you have as one of the designers?
Probably that it was completely designed and built here in Cincinnati. I mean, we used our own construction carpenters and everybody to build the ride, so we virtually did everything in-house. The only thing we didn't do in-house design-wise was those tunnels from Jim Koski, and we had some fancy batter bracing where we had on sides of hills and stuff that we had to have some pieces that were in tension and compression, so we had a local structure engineer to do those. But the rest of it was totally in-house. We designed everything here. So.
And when this opened 40 years ago, do you have any idea that you'd be standing here 40 years later talking about?
No, I didn't, and it doesn't seem like 40 years. You know, it doesn't seem like 40 years. You know, I met my wife here. My daughter wound up actually being married here. So, you know, I virtually had my whole life with this park. So.
Forget about the awards and accolades over the years. When you talk to fans about their favorite ride here, inevitably this is, if not number one.
They always talk about it.
How does that make you feel?
Makes me feel really good. It makes me feel good that John gave us the information that would last that long. You know, gave us the design criteria that we needed to design a ride that would be that long lasting. So it was great. I mean, it was great that, you know, Taft Broadcasting, that owned the company, took a chance on 2 surveyors, you know, a lifetime surveyor and what essentially was a kid surveyor, let us design what wound up being one of the best wood roller coasters in the world. So it's a great opportunity. It's a legacy that I'll have forever. So it's something I can take with me to my grave.
All right, folks, we are back here at Gem City tonight outside of the Miami River Brew House, and we are here getting ready to head inside. This used to be the Reds Hall of Fame Grill, and we are going to go inside and speak to Executive Chef James Major and find out more about this fantastic new restaurant. So we'll see you back in a moment. All right, Gem City tonight, we are back here with Executive Chef James Major here at the Miami River Brew House. And tell me, Chef, what has brought you to the brew house? What has brought you to this point in time?
Well, you know, I came from a lot of big buildings, sporting events, sporting arenas, stadiums, stuff like that. So when the opportunity for me to come to Kings Island arose, I thought it'd be a great fit. I love the place. It's so much fun. We have roller coasters. It's a lot of multiple locations, which is something I'm really comfortable with. When the opportunity came to do another new restaurant here at the park, we were so excited to do something what's trendy and what's going on out there and what's not what you normally get at a amusement park. So that we came up with the brew house.
Excellent. And what is the vision for the menu, the palette, and what you're looking for as far as looking to with what you want to bring to guests?
I mean, really what we want to do is a great experience. We want them to come in and sit down and feel like they're sitting at any one of the local breweries that they go to around town. We've actually paired up with Sonder, which is right down the road from us here in Mason, and a lot of other Cincinnati microbrews and brew houses. And just when you come in, I want you to just, when you sit down, to take those first couple bites is to realize, we're in an amusement park. This is fantastic, and that this is the level that we should go for. And we just want to make sure that not only that when you come here and you have a great ride or you see a great show, but you also have a great food experience. And that's our goal across the whole park.
All right. And one last question that we ask a lot of our guests: if you're not here or at Kings Island, if you had to choose one place to go to eat, drink, whatever, where would it be?
I always love this. This is one of my favorites. I've had this question asked me for about 12 years now. And to try and pick my favorite is like trying to pick your favorite child. But I will say I always elevate to the smoked chicken wings because I like chicken wings, and it's something unique here at the park, and we have it in a few locations. So that would be that one item.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Executive Chef James. Yep. It was a pleasure to interview you. Thank you. And all right, folks, we will be back here shortly with more from the brew house as we try some of the fare that they have on offer, and we will let you know our thoughts on it. We'll be back here soon at Gem City tonight. All right, guys, we just got our food here at the Miami River Brew House. We're going to sit down, enjoy some food, and to give you an idea of what we've got here, I ordered the BBLT with their special orange agave beer that you can only get here at the brew house. What did you order, Amy?
I ordered the roasted flatbread. It has barbecue sauce, cheese, onions. I mean, it looks delicious.
And what about you, Dan?
I ended up going with the Big Bacon over here. It's got Munster cheese, bacon jam on it, and I tried one of their Cougar Bait beers tonight.
All right. And Mike, our cameraman, ordered the onion rings and the chicken wings, and we are going to sit down, enjoy ourselves, and we'll be back with our thoughts on the food here at the brew house.
Magnificent.
All right, folks, as you see, everybody ran off on me and stuck me with the bill, but that's all right. I'm going to talk about this food, and you know what? It was fantastic. This BBLT was great. That sriracha mayo had a bit of heat on it, but it feels good. And this right here, to me, is the best beer I've had in a long time. This is Orange Agave, and it's really, really good. So, Andrew, here's to you, buddy. We'll see you back in the studio.